Welcome to the Public Spectrum podcast. My name is Gabriel, and we are live from the 11th Annual Government Data Summit presented by Public Spectrum, live here in Canberra. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we gather today. We recognise their continuing connection to these lands, water and culture, and pay our respects to their elders past and present. Now today, I'm delighted to be joined by the Force in Salesforce, Ashlee, Ash. Now, Ash is the Regional Vice President, ANZ Public Sector at Salesforce. Ashlee, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, mate. Great to be here.
Now, first, Ash, just for people that don't know you, could you start by sharing a bit about your background and what inspired you to focus on the public sector?
Yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful to be here. My first job while I was at uni was actually called the database department. I had an incredible mentor that helped get a frame of vision around data and CRM and MarTech really early on, which I'm forever thankful for. Since then, I've spent time at Adobe, Google, and Salesforce, but solely focused on government and education. And it's been that pursuit of how can government be that digital service provider that gives us awesome experiences like we get from our bank or our retailer. And then what sits in that is the data challenge. Where is the data of the citizen? How do we share it between agencies? So it's been a really cool and rewarding time because our technology, when in the hands of the public service, ends up helping the community. I lead teams across ANZ now, previously across APAC. I have twin boys, Mark and Leo, they're 6. So life's busy, but it's been a really cool time, especially now with everything that's going on with AI. Every year it's felt like a brand new job. So very privileged to lead an awesome team at Salesforce right now.
That sounds good, and there's definitely a diverse background that we're going to delve deep into in this podcast. But for those of us that might be new to Salesforce, can you describe the company's mission and its impact?
Yeah, absolutely. Salesforce's number one value is trust, and we essentially don't have a business if our customers don't trust us with their data. So 25 years ago, our founder broke the mold of enterprise CRM, and all of our clients across the globe trust us that their customer data sits within our system. The company has broadened out that CRM proposition into a really unified, deeply unified platform across marketing, service, integration, data, analytics. So we really pride ourselves on genuinely having a system which gives our clients a one customer view of their customer. Now everything's underpinned by AI, and we're thinking now about a digital labour force, which is so cool. It's like, imagine if tomorrow 10,000 new people showed up in your business, digital agents. So we think this is sort of the last generation of leaders that will lead just a pure human labour force. So this is huge. This is a really cool time, and all the steps Salesforce has done to get to this time, integrated data, governance, security, privacy is really well set up, especially for our government clients. And then in the retail sector, it's, opportunities there endless for retailers and banks and commercial companies to succeed. So it's a very cool company, great values. I'm a values-driven leader. We think about trust, we think about equality, we think about sustainability. So I feel really lucky to work at Salesforce.
It sounds like there are a lot of offerings by Salesforce, and I do like the fact that everything is values-driven. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, in the next iteration of this podcast, whether we'll actually be here in person or if it will be AI. But with
Agent
that,
Ash. Yeah.
Agent Ash.
There you go.
There you go.
I won't have a job. No, I will. Take that bit out.
But with that, now that we've got to know Ash and Salesforce, we want to jump to our premier segment, Data Dump. Now, Data Dump is a light-hearted, nerdy segment where we chat about data insights and the personal side of data professionals like Ash.
Okay.
The only rule we have is short answers only.
Short. Okay.
Are you ready, Ash?
Not really, but let's go.
All right, we're going to start with some data-related questions first. The big one, AI. Game changer or just overhyped?
Game changer.
Do you use AI? And if so, how?
Yes, helps me write emails and look smarter than I am.
What's a data trend or buzzword you think we'll still be talking about 5 years from now?
probably identity. I don't think that's ever going to go away. The identity of the individual. Yeah, identity.
That's very interesting and not something I expected.
Okay.
So, what's the most important thing to consider in a data strategy?
Having a foundation of harmonized, unified data.
And what's the biggest data misconception leaders need to stop believing?
It's too hard, so let's just shy away from it.
And I think we do see that quite a bit with leaders, particularly in this age of AI, where there's a lot of different foreign concepts and a lot of learning that needs to be to take place before that technology can actually be utilized. So it's a very good call out, Ash. Now, the last data-related question that we have: if your data work were I'll start again. If your data work were a dish, what would it be and why? And we've got some examples here to help you. Now, we might have a layered lasagna, we might have a deconstructed salad, if we're talking purely data. But Ash, I want to hear, what would your meal be?
I work with executives all across ANZ. I'm going to talk about what I see. I see spaghetti, not because I'm Italian and that's my favorite dish. I see spaghetti. I see spider web not interconnected data sets, but then something that jumps out at me is also meat and potatoes. And I stole that from Tim Spence, my MuleSoft leader. I feel like what data should be, meat and potato, get the foundations right every day of the week, good, wholesome meals. So I'll go meat and potatoes. Yeah.
And again, something we don't often talk about, that is food analogies and data. But I think it's a very crucial point there that Ash has mentioned in terms of really getting the fundamentals right. And once you've got that, you've got endless opportunity. So now we're gonna get to know you with a couple of questions that are still rapid fire.
Okay.
So the first one: what was your first job?
I worked at the Chicken Run.
The Chicken Run.
Yeah, chicken shop. I ran that place. I was 13. I asked for a job. They're like, "You've got to be 14 or 9 months," and I said no. And I was the manager of the Chicken Run. Yeah.
Well, that's
wore a
good
yellow
to know.
T-shirt. It was a little hungry.
Good to know you always had ambition, even from a young age.
Leadership. Mm-hmm.
And what's the best piece of career advice you've ever been given?
I remember the exact moment. It was at Google, the incredible Mel Silver. I didn't really know how to do my job, and she said, just go and create a problems database. Just go and talk to as many people as you can and document problems and stare at that and then look at that and go, what can you solve? What's in your control? What's not in your control? And get busy at solving problems. Best career advice I've ever got to this day.
And hopefully that helps some of you back in the audience as well. Now, what's one word to describe your current leadership style?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm very nurturing. I care deeply about people. I care deeply about authenticity. I believe everyone should feel really safe to show up to work and be themselves. And I think that's where superpowers naturally present. So I don't know what that is: authentic, nurturing, compassionate, potentially. Yeah. That's what.
And I'd also say problem solver, just based on your previous answer. Now, we often spend a lot of time with data, and that often means we miss out on some things. What's one skill you have always wanted to learn but never had the time for?
Oh, wow. I work in an organization where I talk a lot about these concepts. Just recently, I built an agent myself. So we have an awesome thing called Agent Force, and I built an agent. I want to do more of that. I want to do less of the talking, more of the building. So I'm going to set myself a challenge to take the agent that I built, but actually try to put it in production, which would mean a layer of technicality, which I transparently do not have today. But I'm all in on agents now, and I want to build a functioning agent for one of my clients.
And just briefly, this agent that you're discussing,
Yeah.
what are its primary objectives?
So I built it for one of my clients, Macquarie University. It was called a recruitment agent, and it was an agent that would be on the website designed to convince someone who's looking to go to that uni of all the benefits of. So, I'm moving to Sydney. What uni should I go to? And it was taking what's publicly available on the website and a couple of other knowledge articles to convince and to show the great features and the facilities. But I want to take that one step further and integrate some other data and actually take that to the university, which I'm alum of, which is why I'm exec sponsor and I love Macquarie, to say, let's turn this type of thing on. But to your question, I want to be involved in the build because I think this is where we need to go as business leaders now, get this in the hands of the business, not just in the IT department.
Very, very good insights. And I'm glad as well that you're making use of AI to create a personalized experience for, those uni students that might be just starting their data career.
Yeah.
So I want to...
That's an idea, by the way, not mandated or rubber stamped by the uni. I'm just playing with ideas.
Yes, we always got to put the disclaimers in.
Yeah.
Now, I want to touch on the nerdiest thing you've ever done.
Oh my God. I'm busy with the twins. The other day I color coded their wardrobe. And I did go, what am I doing? My best friend actually did that, so it's not that nerdy. I color code a lot. I post-it notes, and I was really into my highlighters and studies. So I just do little quirky things like that. I think that are a bit nerdy.
It's very interesting as well to go color coding rather than alphabetically sorted. Although maybe that's the secondary layer.
That's now probably going to go on the. I probably won't alphabetically sort my bookshelf. Someone did tell me to color code the bookshelf also, and that just gave me joy. All the black books are together, all the white books are together. Like aesthetically, it feels better. So is that nerdy? I don't know. Is color coding nerdy?
Look, I will take organization as a nerdy trait.
All right.
And we'll move on now to what's a book you would recommend people read?
I love The Happiest Man on Earth, the Eddie Jacques book. I think the perspective of gratitude and happiness during the most adverse times is something we should all read and remind ourselves on how blessed we are every day. Yeah.
Not very good. And check it out. I'm sure it would be available on most online marketplaces these days. Now, we're going to get back to that color coding topic and finish with a really, really hard question to end Data Dump. And that is, what is your favorite color?
Easy, yellow. Both my kids know that. I did think, should I say Salesforce blue? I bleed blue. No,
I mean,
it's yellow.
You are blue today.
I'm on trend. I know. Yellow is. I don't. It's interesting. Yellow came out. I did one of those assessments. If you're green or red or blue, or yellow also comes up in my personality thing. That was kind of weird. That's where I gravitated to there. But it's been my favorite color forever. So yeah, it's yellow.
Almost like the stars are aligned.
Right.
Now that was Data Dump. And we're going to go now back into a deep dive with Ash and Salesforce. And I want to talk about your previous roles as well as your current role. Your career spans leadership roles at Salesforce, Google, and Adobe. How have these diverse experiences shaped your approach to serving the public sector? So
at Adobe, that's going back 15 years ago nearly.
A long time.
Yeah, that was a really cool time where digital and online and we were breaking through web experiences and doing really cool stuff. So the proposition back then was, I wonder if government can do that cool stuff offline. I wonder if we could get rid of paper forms. I wonder if I could do something on my iPad on the couch and not have to go into a government branch or go and wait at my local council for something. Register my pet on the couch instead of driving to the council. So it was a really cool time of what if. And then at Google, it was more about the advertising portfolio. How can the government run really effective campaigns to get people informed and to change their behaviour? Be healthy, do your tax, don't do naughty things, be aware of things. And that was really cool because what was behind that scene was a whole bunch of data-driven insights which we could get really personalised to a cohort. Let's talk to young people about that, older people about that, people who have businesses about that. So it's another data-driven moment to go, we can be more efficient as a public sector to communicate. And then at Salesforce, this has just been so much fun. We've helped government through the pandemic to be able to help, notify people on when their vaccination is, or to send them a message and say, are you okay? Because, triggered comms based on that moment when it was a pretty scary moment. That was sort of career highlight work. I'm forgetting the question now.
It was, how have all these experiences shaped your approach to serving the public sector today?
Public sector, yeah.
And now you've obviously talked about your time at Adobe, and obviously that laying the foundation in terms of what's possible technologically. And then in your time at Google, obviously bringing into focus, obviously, the values and the attributes that actually are important to our citizens. And now at Salesforce, I believe with access to the tools and with that knowledge, you might be able to take it to the next level. And maybe you can explain a little bit about how you're doing that.
Yeah, I think it's, I care deeply about our clients. People who work in the Australian Public Service are there because they're putting their time and effort toward making our country run better, federal, state or local. And I think deeply about being really empathetic about how we show up to them. It's really easy for Salesforce to say, we're going to solve all your problems, give us all your data, it's all really easy. The reality is the tech actually is the easy bit most times. The tech's fantastic, back it every day of the week. It will work amazing. But I think the bigger piece is around government actually changing their mindset and their culture toward data and digital transformation. And it's a time now where I think we're all on the same page, where it's time to go. But we have to treat our data sensitively, respectfully, because we've got more to lose. We can't get this wrong. We're government and we're not retailers or banks. So I think the word that comes up there is respect and maybe even empathy to the challenge. But equally, we have to innovate and push forward like what we saw today. While we figure out the thing up here, agentics, the next, we've also got to help with the now. So that's sort of two speeds of we are where we are, but let's innovate to go faster, but respectfully based on what government needs to do.
No, definitely. And I think there was a very good call out there, around empathy that is sometimes lost when you're in the bulk of the data and the technical work.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very good call out and something I try to emphasize a lot as well in my role. Now we're going to go to the next question, and I want to get to know a little bit more about you and your role.
I have a fantastic leader who trusts me and my leaders to lead our team. The thing I'm most proud of right now are my three direct reports. Tim, who runs MuleSoft, John, who runs Tableau, and Paul, who runs Data Cloud and Marketing Cloud. They respectively, underneath them, have about 30 people that are responsible for taking those products to government and the universities. And when they take those products back to respect and empathy, I have the expectation that this team of 30 are showing up curious, wanting to solve problems, wanting to build relationships. And in our market with government, we always respect the ethical and probity. So we'll, share knowledge and then potentially have, tender processes. So procurement's a really big thing. So we do a lot of scene setting, showing, workshopping, innovation, how cool, what if stuff. And then we do our best to compete in the market transparently with other technology providers to win the hearts and minds of our clients, to grow together.
And I definitely like the what if notion that you bring up quite a bit in your presentations, Ash. And I want to jump to what if a government or what if a government agency or education agency comes to Salesforce?
Yep.
What can Salesforce and its platform provide to them?
So many things. It's like so many things and it's one thing. So many different examples. Postal corporations let you know where your parcel is. That's Salesforce.
I thought that was Amazon, but
you got a case management issue. Maybe there's been a natural disaster and you have to deal with like disaster relief, and you want access to a grant. You might, like we saw today, be a MuleSoft or a Tableau customer and need really smart data analytics and AI. So, yeah, broadly speaking, it's a traditional way to think of Salesforce, which is the CRM. Put your data in it and do good things for your customer. And then there's all the data and analytics in the clouds. Data cloud is where you put all your data in and unify it. And then imagine a layer on top, now agents. A totally digital labor force to supercharge the university's staff or the government department staff. It's like doubling staff like that. All have a role, all have the right governance. So there's a lot we can do.
And I just want to jump quickly because we have been talking about leadership quite a bit. How do you see yourself managing this future digital workforce?
It's crazy. I don't know yet. I don't know. I've got 3 directs and then 30 on the team. Like I said on stage earlier, I've got 3 agents that help me do my job. Do they get KPIs? Do they get bonuses? Do they? What if they're? How do I performance manage an agent? So we are just so excited that it's here, right? And we want to work with clients to get started on this journey, build the agents, realize the productivity gains, show the ROI, make sure we do it within guardrails, and we're going to work all of this out together. It's really exciting.
That's good. And in terms of working that out, I just want to touch upon what are some of the key challenges you see public sector organizations facing with digital transformation?
It depends what we mean by digital transformation. I loved Mick's earlier comment about culture. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. We've always sort of said digital transformation is the 3 Ps: the people, the process, and then the platform. We would squarely fit in the platform. The technology is sort of one thing. The people need to drive the digital transformation. We need the right people. We need enabled, aligned people. And then the processes is another thing. We need to, as a government and education, fundamentally think about what this agentic shift means. And that would mean changing a lot of policies. Can an agent interface with the citizen on a public-facing website about a topic, about a grant, or where they're at in a process? Can we do the low-value stuff, but then when it becomes really critical and sensitive, you get put onto a human to finish off the process? So policy, I think, is the hardest bit, or process. People, I feel like we've got amazing people in the APS and in the tech sector, and then the platform, the tech's ready. The tech's the easy bit. So I think digital transformation challenges still sit squarely in process, people, platform. AI is just the new thing to grapple with, but same old challenges. Yeah.
Very insightful. And it would be remiss of me not to bring up, given all the talk around agents, the solution that Salesforce has recently introduced, that is Agent Force.
Mm-hmm.
What makes these innovations transformative? We'll start again.
Mm-hmm.
Salesforce has recently introduced innovative solutions like Agent Force. What makes these innovations transformative for your clients?
I feel like Salesforce has been preparing for this moment all these years. And I shouldn't say I feel like, I know. Being an employee of this company, we've been creating the data layer, but also the metadata layer of all of this wonderful data in a genuinely unified platform. When all your data is genuinely unified, and it's all for government and education stored safely and securely with all the right governance, the agents that sit on the top of that, they're really going to give accurate answers if the data is accurate. And in the Salesforce Agent Force model, it's all grounded in our client's own data. They can use whatever LLM they need to, bring your own, build your own, whatever. But that's why it's transformative right now for our clients. Because like I told you, I built an agent. You build it, you give it a role, you give it its guardrails, like you saw today. It's allowed to talk about the grant, but it's not allowed to talk about pizza recipes. That's out of scope. And then you let it loose and it's going to start transacting. So I think the Salesforce journey from where we've been 25 years ago, number 1 CRM company, we've built out all of these cloud offerings, which has informed the unified platform. Data Cloud's a game changer. The agents on top of that are going to be accurate and grounded in our clients' data, as opposed to them being another thing over here where you've got trapped data all around the department. So I'm super confident in talking to government about it in this moment, because it's genuinely on a platform of a deep unified platform. It's exciting.
It definitely is, and
Yeah.
Agent Force is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Now, I want to reflect on your 7-year journey at Salesforce so
Okay.
far.
Yep.
What are some of the most memorable moments that have influenced your perspective on public sector engagement?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I was in the marketing cloud team, we had this amazing product called Social Studio. and one of the state-based police forces used Social Studio, and unfortunately I won't say which moment it was in our history, there was a really bad moment. And what I saw it was a frontline police use case, data that was coming off social media into our tools was actually faster and more relevant than some of the other data that was getting received, and it was informing the exact response. So I had a moment where government and social media intersected in a really cool and powerful way. And I know it's a bit weird and scary, and since then, actually, to be completely transparent, we're not in that social space anymore. But it was just a really cool time to go, government has to open up to different channels, and social media was a moment. The other moment that was super memorable was when our tools were front and center in the pandemic. That felt like career work to genuinely help, because we were scared. We were doing projects in a week or two, which usually would take 3 years. It was like, get it out. So to partner in a moment of time like that is genuinely a privilege, and that was amazing. There are probably a million others, but that social media moment in the pandemic really jumped out at me. Yeah.
No, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And definitely now with what we're able to do with technology, we shouldn't be seeing those years-long solution development life cycles. We should be seeing those weeks, and we should be seeing, obviously, too many moments to count now. Now, I want you to share an example of how an integrated Salesforce solution has enabled a public sector organization to achieve its mission.
That's a great question. We are obviously only able to talk about customers' work that give us permission to, right? So I'll talk about one that was a publicly referenced example, which I really love. It was actually from New Zealand. New Zealand Post had a moment where and there's a great article written up, so I'll sort of paraphrase the article. Their data was sitting in a Salesforce instance over here, Service Cloud in a call center, and they had Marketing Cloud over here, which talks to their customers. And they had a problem where a lot of people would call a call center when their parcel was late, mainly when there was bad weather. Oh my God, I need the parcel. It might be someone's kid's birthday present. Oh, the weather's bad. It can't be late. Where is it? So the team was so clever to use Data Cloud to bring in some, I think it was transactional data. There was definitely some weather data. And we essentially got ahead of it. It's a call deflection use case. So we went, when the weather's bad, let's proactively communicate to the people who are waiting on a parcel to say, don't worry, it'll be here on Tuesday. And when that person got that message, guess what they didn't do? They didn't pick up the phone to the call center because they're being informed. So it was almost like reducing the traffic to the call center by connecting all the dots. I love that story. There are so many examples, some I can't talk about though. But
No, that's all good, and we do appreciate the example you gave there with the New Zealand Postal Service. And again, it comes back to that point you touched around empathy. If I'm expecting that package, I want to be informed, and that's something that we have the ability to do with so much access to data.
Yeah.
So now I do want to, because we are getting short on time, I've just been given the cue that we need to wrap it up. So I'm going to go to one last question before we close off the interview.
Okay.
And I'm just picking the question that I think will be the most valuable for our listeners.
Okay.
So we've talked a lot about leadership. Now I want to wrap it all up and put a bow on it by having you call out the most important leadership qualities that are important for driving change and fostering innovation in public sector organizations.
I admire the leaders in the public service that are driving change, who are kind and subject matter experts. I believe you've got to know your stuff, and that are
It's always
curious.
hard to put it succinctly.
Yeah, the sentiment is around curious and inclusive. The sentiment is inclusive to get the smartest people around a big challenge and unlock their superpowers. So I'd say kind, intelligent, and inclusive.
All right, everyone at home, write that down. Now, before we wrap up, if people are eager to learn more about Salesforce, where can our listeners go to find out more about initiatives in the public sector, as well as follow your latest insights and updates?
My latest personally is LinkedIn. I post a lot, but we've got a wonderful website. Our marketing team actually refreshing it right now with all the latest Australian, New Zealand public sector examples that we can talk about. So if you just go to public sector Salesforce solutions in Australia and New Zealand, if you Google that, you'll find the right spot.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That brings a wrap to our first episode of the Public Spectrum podcast. Thank you again, Ash, for your time. And that is it. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.